Hey guys, this is Ashwani and welcome back. Today we're gonna learn GraphQL. I have divided this video in two parts. In first part, we will cover all the theoretical concept like why we are using GraphQL, what is GraphQL, comparison with RESTful. Okay, so couple of things we will cover in theoretical part. And second part, in this video only, we will implement one project using GraphQL. So if it is your choice, if you wanna code with me, just go ahead. If you want to enjoy this video, if you want to listen, I will give you the source code. I will attach the link in description. You can take it from there. Okay, so let's without waste time start our video. So first, the objective of this particular part 1, okay, or I can say what you will learn from this theoretical part or the theoretical concept of this GraphQL. So I have divided this particular concept or particular part, theoretical concept in 6 parts. Okay, that is, what is GraphQL, why GraphQL, comparison with REST, okay, and feature and advantages, basic understanding, and project using GraphQL. So after completing this 5 part from the from what is GraphQL to basic understanding, then we will move to the project part. Okay, because I don't want you directly jump into the project until we not understand why we are using GraphQL and what is the features which used inside the GraphQL, right? If I directly introduce with you schema and all, it will little bit difficult to understand. Okay, so let me first cover this part. If you don't want to be listen this theoretical part, I will attach the timestamp where I will start this project. You can directly go that project. Okay, so let me start. What is a GraphQL? So generally GraphQL is a API query language as we have a SQL. Okay, so nothing complicated here. SQL is using for like there is also query language for communication to the database. GraphQL is a API query language developed by Facebook in 2012. They use this in a application called Facebook, and after that it will make they make it open source. You can directly add a dependency in your Spring Boot project and now you can use it. Okay, and nowadays it is widely used in many companies and projects. Okay, so with whatever the important project point here I have highlighted here. Okay, so you if you want this PPT, just let me know. I will attach the link in description. Now it is used to load a data from the server. As you know, when we are trying to communicate, we have a two program, right? One is our client program and one is a server program. So when we making a request, the server will give me the request. The same case with this, it is try to communicate with the APIs and it will have to load the data from the server API to the client API. So okay, now why we are using a GraphQL till now. If this two particular slide, if you have any question, just keep it that questions when we are discussing this comparison with GraphQL with RESTful. Your all the question, whatever question you have, will automatically clear. Okay, so just give me a 5 minutes. I will make you understand each and every. So GraphQL let you ask for what you want in a single query. Yeah, there is a feature of one GraphQL that you don't need to be make multiple endpoints. Only one endpoint you can. That is a post operation. For helping with one endpoint, you can perform multiple operations. How many operations you want to perform? So we will see in detail this point. Okay. So in why GraphQL? Because if we go for a RESTful, we need to maintain a different endpoint for our different operations. Okay, so if our endpoint we having a single endpoint and what we are asked for, as you can say, GraphQL give you the let you ask for what you want to in a single query. So single query means single endpoint, and what you ask for means in RESTful I have a particular DTO which map my payload, right? I can't say like this. Okay, I will say I will send half value of this DTO in response, and I don't want to send a half value, right? So this feature is available in GraphQL. Whatever the value you want to send, just put into the response and ask in a query. So particular value which you ask in a query, that server will send you that particular value which you ask for. So the payload will be small, then bandwidth or bandwidth and smaller payload will be small, then bandwidth automatically will be small, right? Yeah, no need to send extra values, and better client performance. Obviously payload is small, bandwidth will be decreased and client performance will be increased. Okay, so no more API versioning, because when we go for a RESTful, then there we are maintaining APIs. So this is all about why we are using a GraphQL. So this all concept are same. If I compare this thing with the RESTful, then also you found this particular single query, and it will give what you ask for in comparison also. So do not shortcut about it. Okay, so let now this is a pretty important part. So yeah, one point I have missing, it is a API endpoint management also, because we don't want to manage each and every endpoint. Okay, so now if I talked about the RESTful comparison of GraphQL, right, comparison with RESTful. So as you can see here, I have, this is my RESTful application. Okay, and we have three operations here, that is post, follower, and okay. So if I want to see the ID, so what I will say, okay, get, and I will call this operation, and I will get particular user. Okay, in next slide, this second point, I say, okay, this one, not this one, post. Whatever the post is, this is just like a blogging site. Okay, on a blogging site, this application is a your blogging, which you write here your blogs. Okay, so you want to see the user, so just call this operation. You want to see post, so just call this operation. You want to see follower, just call this operation. So what does this mean? For each and every operation, you maintain three endpoints. So this will not applicable in GraphQL because you can only maintain one endpoint, and all the operation will perform through the one endpoint. So let me show you how we can do that. So moving to the next slide, first I want to talk about the query. So here what we are doing, we are calling three different methods for getting user, post, and follower. In GraphQL terms, you don't need to be do this. How? GraphQL work with the query, okay, and with one endpoint. So if you want to if you want that your server program will give the response of your user, okay, based on ID or something, so just ask for user ID at this, and you want name and post and title in post, and follower, last three follower, okay, and name. Got it? Last three followers name. You pass this thing as an payload, and payload we pass in query. We will see each and everything. Okay, do not worry about it. So I am telling this to make your basic understanding. So when we are working on a project, this thing automatically get clear, because now I want to put the dots in your mind. Okay, and when we go to the project, your all the dots will connect it. Okay, yeah, we learned this, right? Okay, so now suppose what with the data you will get, like this is a your response. You make this call with the payload, you get a response. Okay, what is the response? User name, post, title, follower, last three follower, as you ask for here. As you can see, you ask last three follower, right? So same thing we've done with RESTful here. You want to make a three different call, and same thing you are done with the GraphQL. You want to make, so this is a GraphQL representation. Okay, do not confuse about it. So in GraphQL, you don't need to make a three different call. So what it, how it will go, like in RESTful you are making a three calls, and with GraphQL you are making only one call. So what it will, like obviously GraphQL is faster, right? And it will be beneficial when we are using GraphQL. We don't need to be maintain an endpoint. So what we have learned from this slide, I don't want to make a different calls, right? I can make if I want to be data for different users, or like different property I want to fetch. So I don't want to make a different call and to the different endpoint. I can do the same thing in my only one call with the help of GraphQL, and GraphQL uses a query. We learn from this slide. Now little more comparison, so that will make more sense. So if we go with the rest point, so if I can uh, take a CRUD operations example, right? CRUD operations example, that is I want to create, delete, retrieve, and update. So this is my simple application. This is my simple application which is performing CRUD operation. Okay, so create, read, update, delete. So whatever the operation you want to perform, so you can arrange by yourself. Okay, so I want to perform these four operations. Okay, now for creating you need one endpoint, that is end with project, and this is the path variable, and you are calling a create of project. For deleting you need this, for retrieving you need this, for this you need this. It means you are needing a different endpoint. So this is your four endpoint, right? Now if I come go with the GraphQL, okay, so as you can see, this is my request, and inside a request you are sending object or payload whatever you want, and this is a GraphQL endpoint. So here as you can see, I haven't like this like this I don't have this 4 endpoint, right? Here I only have 1 endpoint, so I don't need to be make this 4 endpoints like this, okay? In RESTful only 1 endpoint, all the requests coming through the 1 endpoint, and whatever the operation you want to perform will perform like this from the 1 endpoint, like, okay, clear? Endpoint thing is clear, I think. Now comparison will clear. So let's move to the next slide and we'll see features of GraphQL. That is, GraphQL can decouple a frontend, okay, from the backend. Sorry, I need to be right here from backend. So how? Let's suppose if you make one endpoint, okay, as in backend developer, you add one endpoint in your application. So obviously for calling that application or that endpoint, you need to change or you need to make some call in your frontend application. If you are developing in the Angular, you also make their controller and all these things, right? And you have to pass there, and you need to call that particular operation from your frontend. That is a different thing. We can pass locally, we can test that from the Postman or whatever the client you are using. But in general term, I'm saying, right, you need to contact your front-end developer and say, okay, buddy, pass this particular payload, I want to test this, okay, or you want to test it, whatever the behavior of the application. So it is not thing with the GraphQL, because it's not depend on the endpoints. You can directly pass whatever the payload you want or whatever the request you want in a query. So it helps you to save the bandwidth. Obviously, I say, right, these all the features we have already created, and tailoring a request to your needs. Obviously, this is a like in different word I have written, which we have seen by GraphQL. There I have told you, right, whatever I need in a my response, I will pass it in a request. So this thing will not possible in a RESTful. So let's move to the advantages. Yeah, speed up our development and burst integration. So I don't think we need to talk about a more advantage, because after this much discussion we know what are the features and advantages is, right? Already it is like decreasing a bandwidth and saving a, there's a lot of advantages when like speed of development is fast, then we need less money, all those things are common advantages which we have seen a lot of time, okay? So now basic understanding, as I can see here, when you want to work, we are very close to develop our project, okay? So that's why this thing you need to be understand what thing, that is schema, query and mutation. So what is a schema? Just this one point, whatever this one liner, just keep in this mind and you understand a GraphQL. There is contract between your GraphQL client and GraphQL server, okay? As in RESTful you have controller, right? When, like, suppose this is your client, uh, okay, this person is your client and he is making a request, and he has a one computer. From there he making a request to your server program, okay? This not like this yeah, this is a server program, it is making a request, okay? So in inside a server program, definitely you have something marked as a REST controller. I'm not go a little bit deeper like our dispatcher controller or not, but okay, this is a, we have a REST controller there. So REST controller responsible to take all the requests, and part of the response it will give to the client. So same as schema, whenever your client GraphQL application is send a request, schema will take care of all the requests, okay? We will see how to write a schema. Query in RESTful, okay, in RESTful, this is the thing here, RESTful, okay? Okay, in RESTful you are having a get operation to fetch, right, to fetch all things. But in case of query, in case of GraphQL, we have query similar to the get call of REST and used by the client to query the field, okay? And mutation is same as post. As you can see here, it is a similar to the post or put called in a REST, and it is used by client for any insert and update operation. Got it? Yeah, I think it is a clear now. Now move forward. These all are the dependencies, because I have faced a lot of difficulty to find a proper GraphQL dependency. That's why I have attached it for you. So okay, so these all are the dependency we use in our project, okay? So what is this? First, GraphQL for Java, this is for GraphQL, and this is for GraphQL Java tool, and this is a Spring Boot starter, okay? And this is for IQL. I will let you know what is the GraphQL IQL, because GraphQL come with one UI testing something. It will give one UI for your testing purpose. You can go here particular URL and you can pass the query and see the application behavior. It is not possible with REST, right? REST will not give any additional URL. And yeah, let's see. Now we will move to our project and see couple of things, all the things which we have learned. Okay, so I have opened this STS. Now what we need to do, just go to the file, new project, that is Spring Starter project, and I am using Java 16, and that is project name I want to say GraphQL YouTube. Okay, now 16 Maven, all thing is perfectly fine. Form.genie.graphql project for this, and for now I want to use Spring Web. That is enough, and finish. Meanwhile, it is creating a project for us. Just do comment it, whatever you not like, what you like about this video, and yeah, hit the like button. Okay, and if you are new to my channel, just do subscribe. Do not forget to subscribe. I have created this project. Now what we need to do, just we need to add a dependencies. Okay, so I need to go here and copy, come back, another dependency section. I have give all the, I will attach this particular file into the description, because you don't need to be go internet and find all these dependencies, because these are the 3 dependencies. I don't want you to waste your time. Okay, when you learn this, then after that you want to do the hands-on, or and you want to play with the code, you can change the dependency whatever you want. Okay, so now save the project. Now I want to create a structure for my project that will need for a GraphQL. So first thing, create a package for holding a queries. Second thing, create a folder for schemas. So I will say folder, go here, and yeah, folder name what you want to do, that is schema. Now as we have seen here that we have 3 things like schema, that is query, and third is mutation, right? So whatever the schema we will create it in upcoming minute, that will place under the schema folder which we have created just now. Whatever the query we will create it, or mutation we will create it, like query or mutation, will place under the package name query. Or you want to create a different package for your mutation, that also good. Yeah, generally we create a different package for mutation. Okay, for mutation we will create a different package, and the mutation you need to write a schema for mutation and a schema for query. Okay, so we will put all these things in a schema. So let me show you, then you will have clear picture in mind. Now I want to create a one class here, that is class, and go to I will give a name here, query. It's not compulsory to give this name only, you can give whatever you want. First thing is just implement GraphQL query resolver, because we are dealing with query. So it will say GraphQL query resolver, and after that just annotate it as a component. Okay, now what you want to do, you don't need to do anything as REST, like REST controller or get mapping, put mapping. You don't need to do anything like that. Okay, just what you need to do, I need to make one testing method that is public, and it will return a string, and this method is called a test, and this method will return a string, say hello GraphQL. Okay, perfect, I think. Okay, nothing any complicated, any fancy, just annotate it as component and implement GraphQL resolver. Now how your application will get to know. Okay, let me give you some basic idea about here. Now let's suppose this is your application. Okay, and you have done a couple of, you have created a query, you created a class here, and this is your client. Okay, this is your client. He will send a request, okay, through postman or whatever. How your application will know, like your application will execute this particular, okay, this particular test method. It will not get to know, right? Yeah, it will not get to know. So I need something called here in my application, that is schema, that you can check here, contract between a GraphQL client and GraphQL server. Okay, so this is your client, this is your server. So I need a schema to catch that particular request and map to my particular query or mutation. So you can say as just like a controller. Okay, so now come back. Now you will get understanding that. Create one file here. File name will be project schema graph QLS. One more important thing, do not forget to mention .graphqls. Okay, because when you start a GraphQLs project or application, it will look a file called GraphQLs. And one more silly thing about this GraphQL is, if you have any error in your schema, okay, it will not show you. It will fail the application and it will show you like mapping is incorrect or GraphQL is missing. Like Java, you like compiler show like whatever the error will come in a particular line, right, in very good format. It is not applicable in GraphQL schema file. Okay, so what I need to do now, I have created this particular method. I need a mapping. I need a mapping. I need a mapping for this particular method. So I have something called type. So in GraphQL, it's support different types. So we discussed here, right? These schema like query and mutation is a type. Okay, these are the type inside a GraphQL. Okay, I haven't not tell you this is a type in while discussing this, because when we eat the whole cake at a one time, it is difficult to digest that, right? Now you will get all things one by one. So how can I write that? I will say type query. Okay, and inside query, what your method name is, that is test. So take it here, test, and what it will return, that is string. Done. You don't need to do anything. Okay, so let me check. I will run this application. So my application is up and running. Yeah, now we have two things here. Okay, so let me erase this. If you want to test your application, your like if you want to send a request to your application or test your GraphQL application, you have two options. Either go for browser, okay, or either go for extension. We have extension called alter. Okay, so what is extension? This is alter. You can say alter. So if I open this one, okay, it will automatically open, and it automatically open on GraphQL 8080. So I don't want it, I will type it. So I will say localhost, not balance, that is GraphQL IQL, GraphQL IQL. Okay, GraphiQL. So as when we are discussing about the dependency right here, so I told you, right, we have added one IQL something. So because of this dependency, we are getting a UI for testing our application. Okay, and do not push this thing in a production. You don't need this. Okay, yeah. So as you can see in a query section in a doc, this is your API doc. So let me crawl this, and when you click on here, this is the API doc, and these are all the query present in your application, that is test. Your query name is test and it is returning a string, right? So how this thing is worked, and second option is attire. So it is saying invalid URL because I haven't put anything. So just copy this URL and give to attire and remove the I from it, because I don't want a UI, because I am working with the extension. The URL is set. Show me the docs. So docs is query and all things is here. And why I'm prefer to use this attire here, if you say it like query, remove all these things, and if you say query, this is a smart. Okay, you say okay, you are want query. I say yeah, I want query. So I will say okay, give me the query. So whatever you want, So we'll say test, finish. You don't need to do anything. Send a request, data is coming. Hello GraphQL, right? Easy, right? Yeah. Let's suppose I want to add one more thing. Uh, that is, I need public, and this will return a string. This will also return a string, or it will return an integer. Okay, and it will say sum. I am getting a sum. So that is integer a comma integer b. And what you want to return here, that is return uh, a plus b. Got it? Nothing complex. So this is a sum, right? So come here, say my method name is sum. What is expecting? It is expecting two parameters, as you can see here. So what you need to do now, first one is your a and return type, that is integer, and second one is b and return type, that is also integer. And what is our method return type? That is integer. Okay, why should I write a string? It is also integer. So I will say integer, save it, and it will show error. So do like this. Okay, so it is not an error or something, it is a word incorrect. So let me check if this will not run. I will change. Okay, so now what I need to do, I need to rename my application again. So it will show me if any error will come, or any mistake is there. So let me go to attire and refresh my link. As you can see, I have two queries now, that is sum a comma b, right? So what I need to do now, instead of this, I want to use sum. So when you say like control of shift, it will show you all the queries, whatever the queries you have, and inside it you will say a, and what you pass 10, and you say b, what you need to pass 20. Okay, and you will say control shift all field, like control shift enter. So now I don't want to take that. Yeah, finish. Let me send a request. Yeah, that is sum 30. As you can check here, I have passed the 10 and 20. So this is all about query. When you want to write any application or in any API, so you can go with the query. So same thing as in a query, you can create a mutation here. Okay, so as mutation here, what you need to do, just pass a mutation. So this is a small example of GraphQL. Okay, and if you want to me create another video on it, so what we will do in another next video, we will try to communicate our database. Okay, and we'll try to fetch a data from the GraphQL. So I don't want to introduce all the things in video because it will become too heavy video, okay, to connect to the database and all the videos like in a one shot. It's not a good thing. First we need to learn a basic, then we move to the database thing. Okay, so if you want to me create a next video, just let me know. I will create a next video right after this video. Do not, it will not take much time for me. Okay, so yeah, so just comment it down if you want to get that video. Yeah, till then I will see you in the next video. Bye bye. In that video I will cover mutations and everything, whatever the higher part is, that advanced GraphQL. Okay, yeah, so till then I will see you next video. Take care. Bye bye.